And that's how we provide value to you, dear listeners. Hello and welcome back. It is a fresh episode of Basic AF. Tom Anderson and Jeff Battersby are here again in the new year, first show of 2024. Jeff, how are you?
I'm well, Tom. How are you? We just got about a foot of snow.
Better you than me, my friend.
Yeah, because all I'm doing right now by recording this podcast is procrastinating blowing snow in my front yard.
Yeah, we were early, like about a week ago, they were saying maybe that for us, but we ended up with just a few inches, and it's a mix of sleet and snow, and it's mostly starting to melt away. I think we're in the mid-40s today, so it shouldn't hang around too long.
There's probably a joke in there about a few inches, Tom.
Well, we won't start off on that. But
Happy New Year.
Exactly. And indeed, Happy New Year, everyone, and hope the holidays were good for you. And we got lots of news to talk about today, Jeff.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, things are hopping.
You would think with the holiday season it'd slow down, but it didn't really.
No, we're swinging the doors open on 2024. So we are right here now. So we should just jump into it after reminding everyone that you can subscribe, like, follow us. We'd really appreciate it if you do that. We do have actually a reasonable number of followers now, which is good news. And we'd like more. You can talk to us at feedback@basicafshow.com. Our website is basicafshow.com, which, you know, if you have people that you don't know what platform they're on, that's a great place to send them to choose their platform of choice.
Yeah, it's one click from there to pretty much all the big ones.
Yeah, and then you've got a newsletter, Tom, at
I do.
FAnderson.com/newsletter, which we highly recommend.
Yeah, I saw a nice bump in subscribers to that over the holidays. So that was nice. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. People bored sitting around the Christmas tree drinking toddies and thinking, yeah, I should probably
see what that Anderson has going on. Good for that.
So what's the news, Tom, since we're in 2024 and things are hopping?
Well, we got a bunch of it. So we'll start with Apple Vision Pro, which is coming this year, but it looks like it's coming sooner than later.
Yeah, actually, news this morning. Right?
Yeah, news this morning. So right before we started to record,
which is Sunday,
is Sunday, January 7th, 9 to 5 Mac reporting on Bloomberg. This is like the layers of reporting here, but in his latest edition of Power On newsletter, that's Bloomberg's Mark Gurman's newsletter, which is way bigger than Tom Anderson's newsletter, but that's okay. It looks like that is coming up very soon. He reports that they are being shipped to distribution centers, retail staff are going out to California for training, and maybe even an announcement this week. I think CES is this week, so they might try to steal a little of that thunder. And but yeah, it looks like it's coming up probably early February sometime.
Nice. I might have to take a trip over to the Danbury Apple store to have a look.
Yeah, you should do that. I think we're still planning to order one at work, but you know, it could be October before it shows up.
Yeah, so next October.
Who knows? Who knows how many of these they've made, but
yeah, 5.
Probably.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the next show we record, you're not going to have goggles on looking at me.
I mean, I could put goggles on, but it wouldn't be that.
Yeah, that'd probably do me a great big favor if you did that. All right, yeah, me too. I should wear goggles or a mask.
Well, that's why we're not a video show, by the way.
Definitely true. Definitely true. All right, so yeah, so we're looking maybe sometime in
next month. The next month, I should say, not next month, but
in the next month, meaning January, possibly some big announcement.
Within the next 30 days or so.
What did they say? The 27th, I think, was the possible.
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, by the time we record, not our next show, but the third show of the year, we should have some decent information.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see the people when they get there as to actually what real people think of it.
Yeah, people driving down the street.
People, right. And I say average people with a lot of money to spend. But
well, right. Which is not me, by the way. Excellent. So that's going to be interesting. You know, I'm not in the market, but I definitely am interested to see what it's like and kind of play around with it. So that'll be kind of fun, something to look at. again, I'm finding more and more, and I knew this was coming for me, that I'm becoming an analog man. So next thing is, as I said before, I'm in Jeffrey Dahmer's basement, but I might be moving to Ted Kaczynski's cabin. I don't know. So we'll see.
Man, you are
a dark.
Wow, 24 is off to a start.
We're on our way. We are on our way. So and a couple other bits of news. So I think before we recorded last, Apple got banned from selling their two current versions of Apple Watches, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Series 9, largely because they were in a patent infringement dispute with a company called Massimo. I think that's how you pronounce it. Who filed a suit with the U.S. International Trade Commission because Apple had apparently infringed on Massimo's patents for blood oxygen sensors in the Apple Watch Series 9 and Ultra 2. As of this very moment, when we're recording now, there is a temporary, they've gotten a temporary pass, Apple has, on that, so you can still buy, as of this recording, you can still buy a Series 9 and Ultra 2. And Apple, I think, is trying to do something so that they'd be able to do that. By the way, this, I believe, was a U.S. only ban on watches. Is that correct? Yeah. So, if you want one, run out and get one now. Who knows? You may not be able to. Buy a watch for a while if Apple doesn't straighten this out, which I'm sure they will. Why infringe on a patent when you have billions of dollars that you can drop on a company to resolve that patent issue? Doesn't seem right. Apple Note has submitted a software update that supposedly will clear the way for them to be able to actually sell the watch. Right. Apple's not going to leave that much money on the table. So.
And Massimo says it's not a software problem, it's a hardware problem.
We'll find out.
So
January 12th, which is,
a couple of days. Yeah, so we'll find out. I think part of that too is they hired away a couple of employees, and it might be more than a couple of days. Also, I'll say they hired some employees from the company to come work on that product. And so that raised some flags there. And I'm a little surprised it got to this point, but I guess Apple was pretty convinced they'd done enough to get around it, or that they would be able to write a fat check. And the company was like, the check's not fat enough. But so like you said, they'll figure something out.
Yeah. So we'll see. We shall see. Should be, we're recording now on, what day is today? 7th?
7th. Yep.
7th. Yeah. Recording on this. Don't mind me. I'm still in the holiday time warp. So by Friday of this week, so after we record this, there'll be some kind of announcement, I think. So Friday is January 12th, and we shall see. We'll see what happens. Kind of strange, kind of odd, as you said, that Apple hasn't kind of taken care of this ahead of time. But, they can fly an airplane over Massimo's buildings and drop big bags of money, and I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, they could do that for me too. I'd be okay with it.
I'm fine. That plane could, accidentally drop something in my backyard.
You got a soft landing there in the snow. Come on.
I do. Right. It's perfect. Set for it. I'll I was going to paint a target, but I was going to say something else that begins with P. It sounds like the letter that I just said. But Happy New Year, Tom. The jokes are a-coming. I'm trying to head towards Howard Stern land.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, right. All right. Okay. What else is up?
So, Microsoft has released a couple of new applications for iOS and iPadOS, and you can run the iPad app on the Mac if you want to. They've released a Copilot app, which is their AI app. Of course, they've branded their AI stuff Copilot, so that kind of runs across a lot of their properties. So that's an Azure or Entra ID thing, they call it now. It's not Azure anymore. And it's already started to show up in some of the Office applications and everything. And so they had Bing
showed up on a keyboard.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too here in a second, and which I thought was interesting. And so they've had it in the Edge browser where you could just pull it up in a little side pane, and if you were looking at an article or something, you could say, "Give me the takeaways from this page," or pretty much anything you wanted to do. It could write it. It's generative there as well, so you could give it a prompt, and it would spit out some stuff for you. And so they've kind of also put it into this application. And what is interesting with it is you can use it for free and get access to GPT-4, which with OpenAI's ChatGPT, that's a paid service.
Yeah, how much does that cost?
$20 a month. Yeah, so that's
a little bit of money.
They're not. It's not a 1-to-1. Like, you get some more things with the GPT Plus subscription. Like, you get the bots. You can train up your own chat or GPT bots, I should say, for specific things. And I've been playing around with that in particular related to this podcast. And I think probably in a month or so we're going to talk about that a little bit, just to show how we're using that, which, by the way, if you've noticed, we've started to drop custom artwork in for the episodes. I think started with the Subaru Solterra show we did with your brother Greg. And those are AI generated. If you've paid attention, you've certainly noticed that. They're a little weird.
Sorry, Randall.
Yeah, sorry. And Ben. But part of that is it ties into the show, being a tech show mostly. But, spruces up the thing in the podcast players a little bit too. But one of the things that we wanted to do with that is kind of see how that progresses over the next couple of years. Because right now there are parts of them that are pretty good. And then you get weird stuff.
Like stuff that made us look like we were lovers as opposed to podcast partners.
Who's to say we're not, Jeff?
Well, right.
But yeah, so they are kind of goofy. And I think part of that just comes down to, too, I'm still working on like prompting and things for that. I haven't really gotten that figured out just yet. But you do have that with Copilot. Access to the DALL-E service is there as well. So you get GPT-4, you get DALL-E. You don't get so much of the chat histories like with ChatGPT and GPT Plus. You can go back through your timeline there and kind of pick up where you left off with stuff. But it looks pretty nice.
Yeah, and have you used it, Tom?
I've used it a little bit. Like, I used it to kind of gather the bullet points for the new stuff we're talking about today.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yes, and probably saved me 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and for a moment I thought that I was a real slacker because there was all this detail in our show notes that's not usually there, and it's like, crap, I got to keep myself get myself a little more in the game here.
Tom's really into it in the new year.
Yeah,
yeah.
A couple of interesting things about it, and you know that I'm not using this stuff, although I might pull up the Edge browser and see if I can, have a little fun with it from that direction, but. One of the things that I will note in this it feels different than ChatGPT does is that it is actually citing where it's getting the information. So yes. You are getting when you're putting in that, however you've formed your particular query for a thing, which I think in most cases is, give me the key points from this particular article. I think that's what you've been doing. Is that fair?
I did for this. Yeah. On the GPT Plus stuff that I've been doing, it's a bit more than that. But
we'll and you're using that for work. But for this particular, for our show notes.
Yeah, that was very simple. Give me 3 key takeaways from this article or page.
And I would say it's pretty clean. It's coming out pretty well. But it is also not only citing the article that that you put in, but it's also citing other articles that might be relevant. Is that correct?
Yes, and then correctly? It links out to those.
Yeah, so pretty slick as far as that's concerned. Again, it remains to be seen if anybody has been paying attention. This doesn't always work out extraordinarily well, even the citations. If anybody was paying attention to the former president's former attorney's court filings recently, there was apparently some court filings that they did, I believe, with ChatGPT that was referring to cases as case law that didn't exist. They were frigging made up cases that sounded really nice, but didn't bode well for Mr. Cohen in court. So again, this is still a work in progress. Probably not one that I'm going to ever find myself being a fan of. I'm being very, very straightforward here. I know you use it a ton, Tom. I still don't. And have no plans to, other than to, have an understanding how the technology works and, use it to maybe get plans to build my Kaczynski cabin, because that's where we're headed. That's how I feel about this stuff. But you really do need to, and this is talking to all the little boys and girls writing term papers, you really do need to make sure that the information is correct. Otherwise, you end up with court filings that are full of garbage and potentially, get your little booty thrown in jail for referring to things that you shouldn't be referring to. So not so certain that we're getting solid information all the time in this, but this is at least one way for you to be able to refer back to it. The fact that it's giving you citations for other articles, and you can double check.
Yeah. And it's still very early days. I mean,
it is very early days.
So just 14, 15 months since ChatGPT was released. I think 2022.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
it's been a year of it though.
Yeah. And there's still a lot to shake out and figure out. Obviously, Microsoft's they're pushing.
Oh, clearly
pushing with it, and
and the fact that they're giving you access to ChatGPT for free,
right?
Basically, is that's kind of significant. So that means they're footing the bill.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they're big. They're partnered up with OpenAI a lot. Mm-hmm. Like they were when the CEO of OpenAI got fired there 6 weeks ago or whenever that was. Got rehired.
So
yeah,
five
that was
weeks
wild.
Ago, yeah.
Right. So, but they're big partners and investors and all that kind of stuff. And they're going so far as to add a new key to the Windows keyboard, first one in 30 years, Jeff.
Wow,
a Copilot key.
Yes, which by the way, I got to laugh at this kind of stuff, but that Copilot key, when you look at it, Apple, Microsoft refers to it as Copilot key kicks off the Copilot experience.
Yes. Which
reminds me of that show that used to be on, I don't know, what was it? I can't remember, but there was a show called The Girlfriend Experience. So it was a glorified way of saying prostitution in that particular case. I know we're going off the rails, Tom. I apologize, but it's just funny to me that we're having a Copilot experience. Yes. So this is a thing that you get to experience.
Well, it's the Copilot in Windows experience.
Right, Copilot in Windows.
So that ratchets it up a bit. Right. So I can't wait to see what Apple comes up with their goofy name too. But
yeah, and there is more news on that end too, right?
There is
with generative AI.
Yeah, so the rumors are out there that WWDC this year, Apple's going to finally show something with Siri with generative AI. God knows it needs all the help it can get.
What are you talking about, Tom?
I don't know. We've beat Siri to death on this show, and it's only been around not quite a year yet. But so they're looking. So Microsoft obviously is going to push this through the OS in different places and everything. Apple's probably going to do something very similar. Now it will be interesting to see some of the philosophical differences, maybe on device versus cloud. It's only your data. It's this, it's that, whatever. But we'll see how that stuff goes. But yeah, it looks like that might be coming. A funny story the other day, I was related to Siri. I was in the car the other day, and a friend of mine sent me a message, and so I, used Siri to send one back to him, and he sent one back, and it read it, and it said, so and so says El Mayo. I was like, what the hell is El Mayo? But it was, of course, it was LMAO. And I'm like, it's 2024 and you still can't do that. So I almost feel like they've totally stopped working on Siri at all for the last few years and have been so focused on this. So if this doesn't come out, WWDC, I think, man, what are they doing? But El Mayo, I thought that was pretty funny.
If it was like sometime in May and it was, Cinco de Mayo, maybe. But
Yeah.
El Mayo.
Yeah.
El Mayo is in the refrigerator.
Yeah, so maybe that's the show title. I don't know.
Yeah, and let me just say here, we do badmouth Siri, but you haven't tried Hey BMW yet. So,
Well,
12 times to get it to turn up the seat heater. That's, by that time, I might as well take my eyes off the road and press the buttons on the screen and rear end somebody.
yeah, that's why I like my physical buttons. But
Yeah, something to be said for physical buttons. The touch screen universe is nice. There are definitely reasons for it.
yeah, it looks sweet, but it's a little clunky.
Yeah, I still haven't sent you pictures of one of these days.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, so we've talked Microsoft, Apple. I bought something this week, Jeff.
What?
Starting off 2024 already with
Spending
silly
money.
purchases. Yes.
How much did you spend? Let's start with that.
With shipping and everything, it looks like $150.
Okay, $150. And what did you get for your $150, Tom? And have you gotten it yet?
No, it won't show up until February.
February.
So
Everything's in February.
There's, some PR stuff this week for the Clicks keyboard for iPhone.
Yeah, I saw some of that video.
And this thing is so silly. It just might be good.
Right.
So what it is a case, although they don't really call it a case. They call it,
of course not,
the Clicks Creator Keyboard for iPhone. And so you drop your iPhone in this little case, and at the bottom of it, some of you old school people will know what I'm talking about when I get to this next part. There is probably if you use stuff like tech and phones and stuff in the early 2000s, pre-2007 in particular, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The BlackBerry keyboard.
Yes.
People back then that loved BlackBerries loved the keyboard.
Yes, they did.
And there were other we'll call them early smartphones that had those types of keyboards too. So this is one of those types of keyboards for the iPhone that's attached to a case. Looks like it extends the length of the phone.
Probably by
like
2
inch
inches.
and a half. It looks like,
inch and a half, 2 inches.
And they have a nice 14-day return policy. So I'll preface it.
14.
It's 14. Wonder where they got that idea. It sounds like apples. And it's funny, when I saw the thing, they were like, Mr. Mobile says such. So I thought this was a YouTuber that they just paid to promote this thing.
No.
But it turns out he's actually one of the inventors. And I wasn't sure who that was. And I think it's Michael Fisher. But he's got a huge YouTube page, like 1 million plus subscribers on the YouTube page. And it's all about mobile stuff. Yeah. And so they've got him. They've got Crackberry Kevin, who was the huge BlackBerry proponent back in the day. And they've got a couple of other designers. I think one maybe left over from BlackBerry. There's an ex-Apple guy that's in there on it. And so part of it was it's so crazy. But I just like that they were that passionate about it, that they decided to put some skin in the game and actually make it. And I asked you the other day if you checked out the video for it, and I think you did yesterday.
I did.
It was pretty impressive, like the level of thought that they've put into it, and some of the details and everything they've gone through. Like, it's got keyboard shortcuts, it's got a dictation button on the keyboard. And I thought it was interesting the way that they're positioning this thing. And, it's right there in the name. It's the Clicks Creator Keyboard for iPhone. And one of the things that they're kind of pushing this for are creator types that do live streams and things like that from their phone, but want to interact and chat with folks. Because the virtual keyboard is going to take up half the screen.
Right.
And with this, you can see more. And because a lot of times, like with TikTok and things and Instagram Live and all that, chats kind of scroll up from the bottom, and the more you can see, the better. So it's interesting. I have no clue what I'm going to think of this thing.
I'm interested to hear. The first thing to me that comes out, and this was mentioned in that video, and that the video was great. It really was intriguing. But one of the things that I'm really curious about is the weight factor, not, the balance between the actual keyboard itself and the phone hanging up there. You're using a 14 Pro, not a 14 Pro Max. I've got now the 15 Pro Max, which, it is pretty hefty. And I did note in the video that they've done some counterbalancing. There's weight actually in the bottom keyboard part, but that would be my first concern, is that it is a little top heavy.
Yes.
So I'll be interested particularly with the Pro Max. I can't speak to the Pro. It might be fine with the Pro, but I'll be interested to see how it works out with the Pro Max. And I am definitely interested to hear what your thoughts are on the weight of the thing. It looks cool. You ordered the yellow one, correct?
I did.
As they refer to it as Bumblebee, which kind of a shout out to Transformers, right? That's a little Transformery in joke, maybe. And I do like that color. The other one that they have now is a London Fog, which is a gray, which I also like because it is a walking depressive. That's my that's my go-to color. So it is that yellow is really slick. It looks great. Did you have a BlackBerry?
I did.
You did. See, I
did.
Never had a BlackBerry. I always had.
That was back in my AOL days. There was corporate issued phone.
Oh, nice! Look at you.
Yeah.
So this might
keyboard was good. So it was a great little email machine for the time. But the rest of it wasn't very good. Like the browsing and all that was pretty sucky.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. They've done a lot of smart stuff with it, and we'll have a link in the show notes to the video that Tom is referring to. It's definitely addy. It's definitely a promo video, not a review video, even though. Near the end of it, Mr. Mobile does purport to, say some things that he's not so sure about. One of the other big things about it is as Tom said, it's going to add another 1.5 inches, 2 inches to the length of your phone. Which, interestingly enough, they're selling that as a benefit. You just put it in your back pocket and everybody can see the keyboard. I can never figure out why people put the glass side of their phone on the back side of the pocket, so it's facing out. I would never do that because I want my soft butt to cushion any possible falls that could crack my screen. And I don't put the thing in my back pocket anyway.
Yeah, me either.
So it'll be interesting to see. I'm really curious what your thoughts are. I was tempted to buy one myself, but the reality is I would buy one and it would sit on my desk.
Yeah. So when it comes in, I'm going to put it on the phone and I'm going to keep it there for
14 days.
I've got 14 days if I want to return it. So I think I'll put it there because he even mentioned in the video, he's like, if you're just going to try it for 5 or 10 minutes, don't bother.
Right.
He's like, you've got to put it on, go through the adaptive period and see where it ends up. So I'll put it on and stick with it. I'll take the ridicule of my coworkers as I walk around the office with it. My initial thought is that it's because it's just going to be different, is that those keys and the way I have to hold it and everything, it's going to make my hands hurt. But we'll see.
Yeah, fair. And let me ask you another question. This is a curiosity question because, in fairness, I never do this, but how often do you use your current phone in two-handed mode to type messages?
Pretty much all the time.
I never do.
Yeah.
I'm a one-hander and a left-hander at that. So, that would be, it's funny. I should maybe try using my phone two-handed. I'd probably have fewer typos than I currently do. I don't know. Typos, including, with the autocorrect stuff that seems to say things that I never had in my head. But I am definitely a one-hander and a left-hander when it comes to that. So that would be another big lift for me. It would be the change from one to.
Now, do you do the swipe on the keyboard, or you peck out the letters?
No, peck out the. And you gave me that trick for the Apple Watch as well to be able to do it. Using that teeny tiny little keyboard on the Apple Watch. And in fairness, my brain just doesn't work that way. It's weird. I have a hard time doing the little swipey things to get to the letters. I have to think about where the keys are.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
Definitely when you first start, it's like, I don't know where to swipe.
Yeah, exactly. And on the watch particularly. So no, I don't do that. Do you use the swipey thing?
On the random and few instances where I do type something with just my right hand, I'll typically at that point go to the swipe.
Ah, gotcha.
But if I'm doing my normal stuff is it's two thumbs I'm using. But
I was going to say you're all thumbs, Tom. But
yeah, I did turn off the predictive text.
I did too. Yep, turned that off, and I'm going to turn it off.
That's where 50% of my typos and errors are coming from. Yeah, that thing annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, and I haven't yet, but I'm going to turn it off on my Mac too. It's no, thank you. Tom,
Jeff,
we've burned another hour. Well, no, we haven't. We've burned a half an hour. It felt like an hour, Tom. There's an hour's worth of information in the 30 minutes that we've just spent talking. So.
And that's how we provide value to you, dear listeners.
Very
condensed.
We're both dense, and so you get a dense show.
Yes, sir.
Tom?
Yes.
It's good to see you in this new year. And just a reminder that our show artwork, not our individual episode artwork, is by Randall Martin Design. Please forgive us, all creatives out there. But we can't afford to do new show artwork other than the way that we're currently doing it. But
this I don't feel particularly bad about, right? Because we had those discussions, like, is it going to take work away from people? Because I would never pay somebody to do artwork for every single episode.
Nope, agree.
So,
agree. And until we get super rich doing this, and then we might do something like that.
Well, the clock's ticking. So
you're right. Well, right. I guess we're on our way to being Joe Rogan and making billions of dollars. So yeah, the artwork that you see when you search for us in all your favorite podcast apps is by Randall Martin Design. Excellent artwork. We're very pleased with it, and we still think it makes us a standout on all the platforms. Show music, Psychokinetics, Celsius 7, and we highly recommend you check out the music for both of those. Anything else, Tom, before we kiss off for another episode?
I don't believe so. All right.
In that case,
that is it. Hey, we do thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your night, and we will talk to you next time.
See ya.
I don't want to know about your imperfections.